Have you ever wondered to yourself, is there such a thing as the perfect presentation? Am I able to go live, speak to my audience, and really just get everything go right and just be in the zone and everything will be perfect? Well, as a person who's been presenting live for many years now, certainly since 2012, I can tell you that there is no such thing as the perfect live presentation. It doesn't exist. But here's what I would like to share with you is that there are ways that you can actually stay confident when things go left, so to speak, because it will happen. I'm Patrick Nairn, and I want to share with you that I've combined both my photography experience and my experience of being a corporate live trainer and sharing my message to many, many audiences live over a number of years, more than a decade now. And by combining these two sets of skills, plus many other skills, I've put together what's called the Look Good, Sound Great formula, which is how you can actually go live and to reduce all of that stress and concern. And I do this for a lot of experts and coaches. So ultimately, when we are going to put ourselves in front of an audience live, there are a couple of things that we tend to find ourselves being really concerned about. And one of the things that concerns most of my audiences is that they want to avoid any kind of technical hiccup. They want to avoid the unexpected incident that just appears without warning. It's completely unexpected, right? And if this has ever happened to you before, where you've gone live and a couple of things, technical, in terms of technical, I mean things that were part of the equipment line. So that could be things like your lighting, your sound. It could be a slide that didn't work properly. It could even be something as drastic as the internet. And I'll tell you a story about that a little bit later. But these are the sorts of things that are, largely going to crop up, and we refer to them as gremlins. These are things that you would rather just do your live without. But what would happen if, we just suddenly lost audio for a moment? We were trying to play a video for someone and the audio wouldn't come on, or we were trying to play a video and the video wouldn't play, or our slides just literally get stuck on the first slide and we don't know what's happening. Most of us, we dread that kind of moment, right? Let's face it, we dread it. We don't want it to happen. We'd rather not experience that. But I can tell you, as a person who's been doing it since 2012, it's only a matter of when it is going to happen. I can tell you that. But there are things that we can do, by and large, to work around this, to make sure that this is something that we at least consider. And the good news for you, for those of you who might be thinking, that's not what I wanted to hear. Well, the good news is that most of your talks will actually go to plan. That's the good news. Most of them will. And in fact, some of them are going to be exceptional. You're going to find that there are some talks where you feel like you just couldn't put a foot wrong. Everything just went perfect. But there are those days when it's almost as though, as they say, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. And so for most of us, we live in that space of fear. It's a pain for many of us. It's a concern because it just introduces a great deal of doubt for us. Now, if this has happened to you before, if you have had a challenge that just reared its ugly head at the worst time, perhaps you can remember right now that gut-wrenching feeling, where you realize that potentially your reputation is on the line. You could be in front of a lot of people, you talked this up, you invited people who you want to really work with, and they are watching you slowly but surely lose control. Now, I don't mean necessarily that everything falls apart. I just mean that it's not where you wanted it to be. And the painful truth is that the moment that happens to us, any disruption with our technology, something that we think we could have handled, we could have done something about it, immediately the thought is that this is a threat to our credibility. This is a threat to our momentum. And it certainly is a threat to our ability to really resonate and connect with our audience. So here's the thing. I've actually seen this happen during one of the largest online events in the world. This is an event where there's like hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world. And it was going amazing. This was like a 3-day event, and we're on the third day. And this is, if you know anything about these types of events, usually that's the day where most of the conversions in the business is done. And the power just goes up with no warning. The power disappears locally for the host. And this was right before the main speaker was actually going to go online. The feed just went blank. It just went completely dark, and there was nothing, no messages. No one really was able to get a message out because in that area there was a complete power cut. And it just so happened that all of the backup generators and everything failed to come on. Now, for that entire event, this is one of those things where the whole kind of energy just crashes down from, you know, high excitement to high anxiety. And I can only imagine what the thoughts of the host must have been. You know, is this the moment that we've lost everything? Is this everything that I've worked for? You know, this is happening right now. Why now? Why me? Why us? Now, these are thoughts that are going to come to us whenever we find ourselves in challenging situations. And to give you an example, right now, this is one of the hottest times of the year in the United Kingdom. And we're having a heat wave, and it's really, really hot right now. And so I can hear my poor computer working overtime. I can hear different bits of equipment in the room, fans coming on. Now, they're not ideal because they actually can interfere with the level of clean audio quality that I'm trying to record. But it's one of those things that is pretty much beyond the control of anyone. But there are things that we can do to mitigate against that. And I have done all of those things that I can do to mitigate it. But it doesn't stop having that fear, that concern that we can just lose control at any moment and lose our audience. And just that pain of watching everything unravel whilst we are completely paralyzed, frozen, unable to do anything. And for some of us, that leads to a moment of complete and utter panic. Now, what are we worried about in that moment? We're worried about the fact that our audience may not come back to our events because they don't feel like they can trust them. But listen, everything in the world that's made by human hands has a point of failure. And we just have to understand that that's one of the things that we have to go through, but we can do stuff about it. So despite all your preparation, technical things can fail, right? And it's really coming down to what are we doing to manage it? What sort of systems are we putting in place so that we can at least have a great deal of confidence that we can quickly diagnose what might be the issue and just minimize the disruption or the impact to our goals and that of our clients if we're serving people live. So how do we actually achieve that level of assurance that no matter what happens in our events, that we can still recover our events, that even if we have these hiccups with maybe a network or a signal getting out to the world, we can still do something about it and keep our audience engaged? So my question to you is, would you like to avoid that level of stress and move forward with a system that allows you to go live and allows you to speak to your audience from different people stages and to reduce that level of stress? I'm sure you do want to know, so I'm going to tell you what it is. And over the many, many years that I've been doing this, you know, over a decade now, since 2012, I've learned a number of things about how to make sure that when you go live, that you have at least some control over your live stream, and to ensure that if you're in a meeting, that you have a certain degree of resilience built in and contingencies to help you if things do, as I mentioned earlier on, go sideways. You know, these are the terms that we use these days. And if you're thinking as an expert, most of my experts are really concerned about delivering, you know, as flawlessly as possible, because all of this is a presentation of their skill, their knowledge, their trustworthiness. And so they're really concerned to make sure that they can go live and to stay online as much as is possible. And as a result of my time doing this, I've put together what I would call a Go Live Studio Pack, which is all about helping not just me, but helping many of my clients over the years, experts who have been able to keep their events going live because of the tools and the systems that I've taught them. And I'm happy to share that with you in an upcoming event on July 21. So that's just under 2 weeks' time. And it saved me and many of my clients, my experts, a number of times from issues of stress, that high stress that you get when you're going into an event where you're going to have a lot of great clients there. But also, it's just that embarrassment when you're putting on a big event and you've put a lot of investment in, a lot of time, energy, and effort. And then you want to make sure that things go as well as they possibly can. So this is a tool which I use. It's a bit like a flight checklist. It makes sure that I go through and check everything. But because I've been doing this for a long time, I know that there's a lot more to check than what most people check. And this is one of the reasons why when I'm going live, it has to be events that are well beyond my control that actually prevent me from going live. Yes, there are going to be times where a piece of equipment fails, but there's nothing that we could have done about that. But I do at least have backups in place that I can get up and running quite quickly. So if this is the sort of thing that you find intriguing, that you're thinking, I need to, as an expert, make sure that I figured this out and I've put things in place, then I'm going to encourage you to join me at the event. I'll put a link in a message in chat so that you can actually find the details and that you can join me there. So you want to learn to master your live presentations and manage that unpredictability with grace so that you can actually come out and deliver your event and feel comfortable. Yes, it does get a little bit hot under the collar sometimes, but that's just part of being a professional, right? But let's help you to change all of those concerns into certainties so that we can have the right backup systems in place so that you know exactly what to do. You can have a checklist for yourself so that you know exactly what to do, when and where. And so that we can impact our audience for the better and then turn the skeptics in our audience into people who believe and trust us and actually want to work with us. Because we're all ready to move forward and to put ourselves in a position where we don't have to concern ourselves so much. Yes, things will go wrong, but we know exactly what to do about it. So just click the link and join, and you'll be able to jump into a wonderful event and learn exactly how we do this. And I look forward to seeing you. So again, thank you very much for joining me. It's a pleasure. I'm grateful for you giving up and investing your time to learn from me. I never take it for granted. And as always, I'll leave you in peace. See you soon.